Welcome back, folks, to World of Warships Legends. I'm Soopa-Dave, and today we are doing our build and play guide on Azure Lane, New Jersey. Now, you'll see it's built differently than yesterday's video because I'm trying not to shoot down planes. Alright, with that being said, a little bit of a sentimental ship to me. This was my first ever premium ship that I am aware of. My first tier 7. Also, this is the most decorated ship in real life for American battleships. That being said, guys, this is just like Iowa and Missouri for the most part. There are some small differences here. It does have a little bit faster shell velocity, so it's not going to arc quite as much as Iowa. But these differences, I cannot stress enough, pretty minimal. I would not, if your person is wondering if this is like a ship when they comes back out in the store, which it probably will. Is this a ship you should go crazy on? I mean, it's a very good ship, but it's very much Missouri and Iowa, okay? But like I said, different shell velocity, it's a little bit faster shell velocity. Also, it is a slightly better grouping sigma, making it a little bit more accurate. Uh, Notice it a little bit, but Iowa, Missouri, the American battleships in general at tier 7 and higher, already pretty accurate. It does have a little bit less health, and it has a slightly long reload, and it does have a little bit more range. So, very minor things. But I've always used this in the past as my ship that I try out builds or do dumb stuff with on. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about the commander build. And that's also going to be part of this video because most people that are going to get Azure Lane, New Jersey are going to have Azure Lane, New Jersey Commander along with it. So, for our inspirations, we're using Arthas the Cold, and that gives 20% damage while the catapult fighter is up. That's important because it's not just 20% damage on a couple shots, right? It's 20%, and you get to select the shot that you get the 20%. If you wait to use your catapult fighter till you know you've taken a good shot. That is a significant difference of just shooting and throwing a catapult fighter up. Pablo de Revel for reload, as always on American battleships. Base trait is freedom through firepower, which for her is we're going to talk a little bit more about the commander here because this is the ship she came out with. Very handy. I actually use this trait on Russian cruisers as well. In some other ones. So, in a very nice base trait to have. Flammable cannoneer, gyrating drill bits. Now, for the sake of this video, it was fight fire with fire. But I am starting to like on second thought more and more as I use her over the fight fire with fire. It's up to you. It's kind of one and the same. It's just up to your playstyle. That extra reload is nice. But for the sake of this video, it was on Fight Fire with Fire. The problem with Fight Fire I have is you are generally running, or with Firefighter, is you're running Fight Fire with Fire already. So the damage is going to do less, fire damage is going to do less to your ship. But also, if you get more than 2 fires, right, and if you use your damage con, this will put it out. So reducing your numbers on your ship to 3 kind of hurts that on a cruiser that's really trying to burn you down. And also that damage party control duration being lower is kind of a pain in the butt. And that, if you guys don't know what that is, that's the zone when you're playing, when you hit your damage control where you're kind of immune. And that lowers it and makes it a little bit worse. So for me, I'm starting like on second thought more. It does help with switching ammos if you do, but mostly for just the reload. And then Don't You Love It, which is awesome. Deal more damage with Citadel strikes and main battery dispersion. So not quite as accurate as the Sims build, but pretty darn close, right? So, and also when you start stacking this stuff up, if you're using your catapult fighter, when you know you have a good shot, plus it's, you get that 20%, plus you get this 5% for being over 10 kilometers. You also get the extra AP damage and the 15% on Citadel strikes. You start having with almost 30,000 damage. 30,000 damage on a Citadel if you know what you're doing with this commander. It is my favorite American battleship commander, and the one that I have the ones that I've had a couple world records in are all on this commander. So, that being said, let's talk about the ship a little bit here, guys. We are running AA mod, Guns mod 2. You could put it into turret traverse on the American fast battleships. I wouldn't recommend it because they're never going to outturn. They have a terrible turning circle on the fast on Iowa and in like Montana. And New Jersey, they have a long it's like 920, I believe, on your turning circle, so you're never going to outturn your turrets. I always take the AA, and it definitely helps it, as you'll see. Propulsion mod is always, you could use rudder shift on this, and I have in the past. As I play more, I definitely like the propulsion mod. It gets you out of trouble. In fact, you'll see it in this match on another ship. And then concealment mod 1 and artillery plotting room, because it is American, to get that extra 10% dispersion. For your loadouts, you have 3 decent heals. They're nothing fancy, and you can choose between secondary booster, which I would never do, spotter plane, which you could do, and catapult fighter, because we are running Arthas. For your survivability, again, your health is a little bit lower than Iowa. I believe Iowa's like 71 or 72,000 at 67,000 health, so a little bit lower. But you do gain back range on this, which is nice, and a little bit of accuracy. This is definitely a ship you don't have to use out at range. I rarely do it, but it is good at it if you do want to do that. The HE, not overwhelmingly good, but if you get a ship, most of the time you want to use AP in American battleships, but there is times where HE does come in handy, like destroyers, but also, angled battleships where, you can shoot the superstructure, but, if that's already saturated, HE is definitely a good option. And the AA defense is very solid. I don't think all American battleships pretty much at these tiers are pretty solid. And maneuverability, because we're taking gyrating drill bits, it is a little bit lower. The turning circle and the rudder, not ideal on this ship. Okay. Speed is decent, though. And it's a battleship. You're not going to sneak up on a dead moose with it. Alright. For your armor, I would show statistics, but you guys already know why I'm not going to do that from the last video. But anyway, for your armor, you have a 32 millimeter bow and stern, just like pretty much all Tier 7 battleships. And that is not your belt, that's just your torpedo protection. There is your actual belt line there, much sturdier. Again, this is an Iowa for most people, right? And if you know what an Iowa is, and hopefully you do before you get this ship, you should play that. You should definitely play Iowa, understand Iowa, then decide if this is a ship for you. I don't think it's worth the upgrade over the Iowa, but it's still a good ship, and because I like ship collecting, particularly American ships, all in general, but ones that I know from, obviously World War II, I definitely like this ship. But you do have American giant superstructure, and you do have this citadel that is right at the waterline, basically. But do not get this twisted. If you go broadside in this ship, you will get punished just like Iowa. And especially if you turn. When you lift this citadel up out of the water, you really could get smashed in this thing if you are not careful, guys. So just be careful with that citadel. Outside of that, pretty tough ship, easy to angle in. As we start the match, it's disclaimer time. This is a beginner's video meant to help people new to the ship or new to the game. This is not meant for professional gamers that know everything there is to know about everything in the universe. There are multiple ways to play and build this ship. And I am a above average player. Not the world's best. I make mistakes. You may see one in this match. You didn't come here for pronunciations. I'm as good as anybody at slaughtering beautiful languages all the time. With that out of the way, we're on Haven. And one thing about Haven, you got to be a little bit careful at the start. We're in the middle of a map. We're not going to bail on the center. That's just not, in my opinion, not a good way to play. You should always try, if you're in the middle, you can get some really good crossfires. In fact, now that I've become a much better player than when I originally played this ship at the very start, one thing I've learned is I actually try to hopefully get the middle spawn because I can do the most for my team in the middle, not running off to the side. So if you spawn in the middle, even though this is a fast ship that fast battleship that can flank, when you spawn middle, stay there. Try to win and look for crossfires. And we're gonna have a little bit of a slow start. 2 reasons. Haven, if you push in too quickly, as you're going to see on the right-hand side, Nebraska is just rushing in. You're going to see how that goes for them, okay? That's why I'm being a little cautious at the start of this match. Even though I'm a very aggressive player, I'm not stupid, okay? If you rush in, it's going to go bad for you. Also, this is a little bit older match. I wanted to make a guide for New Jersey, and I hadn't been in New Jersey since, like I said, when I first got the game, so this was really cool to get back into it again. And this was my first match back into it, and I figured it'd be a good one to showcase being patient and using this ship to what it's good at, right? So has good range, and we're going to be real careful with this at the beginning. Now, our beginning's going to be a little bit slow, right? I'm being cautious, and remember at the time of this match, planes actually could spot you. So I'm being a little bit careful. And we have an Atlantico, which is the guy I was trying to figure out where he was. We know he's close, so I'm glad I didn't just rush in. That would have been real bad. Now we're going to take a nice shot at Monarch. You notice I don't use my catapult fighter. That Monarch stopped on a dime. So kudos to him, because he would have been bad for him. In fact, that Monarch player is going to be a pretty decent player. We're gonna have some shots at him where you're gonna see. I actually go ahead, lead him a little bit, think he's accelerating again, and again, very accurate shot. Like this is me aiming not correctly, and he again slows down. So now I know what his game is, right? So we're gonna try to do that, and I'm also gonna, now that I know he's a decent player, when he pops up again, right, I'm going to be a little bit more careful in trying to get rid of him. But he's not going to pop back up for a little bit. We're going to go ahead. We got some crossfires. And we're going to get a little bit unlucky here at the start of the match. But then later on, you're going to see the significance of how good American battleship accuracy is. Especially this ship, which it is actually slightly better than Missouri and Iowa. And you can kind of tell. I wouldn't say it's a night and day difference, but you definitely can tell. And I can't wait to use this ship a little bit more again. I try to hold back on how much I use American battleships because of I just got done using them a lot for that American battleship guide where I played probably 150, 200 matches in American battleships, just like basically in a row for that video to test it. That being said, you're going to see we're going to start getting crossfires here because we're being patient. We also seen Atlantico back off. We can get in the middle of the map. Also, to my team's credit, the left flank has pushed up and done a good job of it as well. So kudos to you guys on that left flank. And we're going to go ahead and we get a decent salvo there, hitting 6 shells. And now you're going to start to see me get a little bit aggressive, okay? You can snipe with this thing at range, and you're going to see here, even on a Lexington at, 19 kilometers here, we're going to take a shot. We're going to try to predict what he's going to do. Now, obviously, he's doesn't have a lot of health or nothing, but we're going to get rid of that Lexington. We hit 5 of our 9 shells. We probably even hit more, but it probably only took 5 of them to kill him. And you can see the accuracy is pretty solid. Now, Monarch has showed himself again. And to be honest with you, I understand that this player seems like he's decent, so I'm trying to be, you can see I'm not aiming right at the belt, I'm aiming a little bit higher. So he is kind of a main focus. Obviously, normally I focus cruisers right away when I get a chance, but if you run across a player that's pretty good, and right, that needs to be your main focus. Also, with American battleships, at distance, you don't really want to shoot right at the belt line. It's easier to shoot up, over, and you'll get more citadels at range, especially on German battleships. Now, we can see I'm using my auto aim just to see what this guy is doing, and just to see if he's going to play or push out. And you guys want to see a magic trick? You see a champion, now you don't. So... you can see I put my spotter plane up, and we killed him with that one citadel, right? We had 2 full pens and a citadel, I think, was what that was. We only hit 28 shells, but we've done 62,000 damage. Pretty respectable for what it is. A slow start, right? But you're going to see here, I'm going to take another shot, and you're going to see I smoke the mountain and show that island who's boss. And we're still going to have 3 shells that do a big chunk of damage because we have our plane up. So when you know you're going to get a couple good shots, use your catapult fighter if you're using the Arthas build. And that makes it significantly different because you can see we, on the last 2 salvos, outside of destroying the mountain, you can see... we did quite a bit. Now we take another shot at another cruiser. We try to predict where it is. Look at the accuracy of them shells. Now I mis-aimed a little bit, and that left them alive. And you can see we had a slow start, but you can see we have definitely cleaned that up quite a bit. And that's what I mean. That Plymouth was 16 kilometers away, and we absolutely sniped him. If my aim had been better, that guy would have been easily dead. And you can see me, I've dev struck 1 cruiser and almost dev struck a second one, showcasing kind of like the accuracy with this ship. And man, is it nice. Now, I can't really see what he's doing. It looks like he's going to run into the island. So I kind of put them a little bit behind. We did hit 6 shells. Probably, I didn't realize that he wasn't hitting the island. He was keep moving forward because I did not look at my map like an idiot. He should have been dead, to be honest with you. I didn't realize he was pretty much broadside to me. Oh, and it does look like carriers can't spot, actually, in this match. I thought it was a little bit older. Must not be actually that old. I know it is before assist, though, guys. So, that being said, we're going to go ahead and finish him off. And we are going to be helping our team. Now, this Monarch, I do something a little bit dumb here, right? I'm kind of waiting for him to come out. He's shown he's been a decent player. He's hyper-focused on everybody back there on the carrier, right? When a battleship's kind of focused on a carrier, you kind of get away with some dumb stuff a little bit. And that's no different because... for him, you can see the carrier is completely focused on him. So I understand he wants to shoot the carrier. So we're going to come up and we're going to mistime this a little bit. But this Monarch's been shooting HE for the most part. So I'm not really concerned about him having AP loaded right now. And this is why you're going to see me do a little bit of a maneuver here. Now, I thought I could get through the belt here. And I could, but I didn't get a citadel, right? And he's going to angle in. But we took a big chunk off of him. But I don't want him to ram me either because the game is still close enough it could go either way. We're going to take a shot, but we get real unlucky that it goes down. We don't get our shells to hit where we want. We're going to go broadside here. And he did have AP loaded, and he should have shot me, but... it looks like he was trying to get rid of the carrier, which I completely understand as well, because he can probably think he's going to either ram me or and end up killing me. That's up to the play style, but we're going to go ahead, take a shot. That should have killed him, but they all hit the water. Sometimes that happens. Now on our next shot, he's going to try to angle in. You can see he's a decent player. Probably should have shot me instead of the carrier, but I also understand the carrier has been his biggest problem, and Monarch has some very good heals, but we do go ahead and finish him off. So that being said, we took a very slow start, and that last 6 minutes really helped our team right there. I mean, we took 4 people off the board relatively quick, right? And right now we know we're spotted. We're going to take a look at the map, see which destroyer is left, because up until this point, a destroyer hasn't been in front of me. It is the Tashkent. And also you're going to see, I'm going to switch to HE here in a second, which I always recommend now. Early on, if you got to shoot a destroyer with AP, it's fine. Especially American AP, it's very good. I mean, you're going to do close to the same amount of damage, but HE, if given the opportunity and you know that's going to be your next shot, go ahead and use it. We know he's out in front of us. We're going to speed this up a little bit to save you guys some time. So you can see I'm dodging and weaving, make sure I'm not going to eat his torps. We know that he's out here. It's a Russian destroyer, so I know I don't have to be super worried about torps, but still not being dumb either. And we're going to take a shot. He's obviously paying attention to us as he turns out. We're going to go ahead and take another shot with a rear turret. Pretty good aim there. And we do get one on him, but, we're not actually going to finish him. Even though I didn't realize at the time till just right now, this would have been our Kraken. I'm not a person that generally cares about Krakens too much, but interesting to see that. But you're never going to see me in a game. There's very few games you'll ever see me not try to kill destroyers, ever. This one was an odd one because it was later in the match, basically when it was over. But just remember, with this battleship, like a lot of American battleships, I think I mentioned it, but just to be sure, when you're shooting AP at a battleship with this, a lot of times, aiming up a little bit high over the belt will get you those citadels that you're hoping for. Because they are more plunging fire, and you can get a lot of citadels, particularly on German battleships that way. Anyway, as you can see, top of leaderboard helped our team win this match. And we'll see you next time, folks. Have a good one.